Hello everyone, my name is Aaron Lang and I'm the president of your board of directors here out at Clearwood. I hope this finds you in a really good season of life. As we approach winter, it's getting more and more beautiful every day out here. The colors are changing, it's finally getting cold. Personally, it's my favorite season. And I wanted to bring you guys an update of where we've been the last few months now that we have implemented a management team. Most everyone, I hope, is aware of that at this point. To bring some clarification for where we've been the last 18 months, where we've come the last couple of months, and where we're headed. So at the end of the day, the most important reason I'm making this and bringing this to your attention is that in the last week the board met about having a special election at the end of this year and ultimately a special meeting of the membership. So if this doesn't strike you, I hope that it will. This is very, very important for all of us as members, as owners. I'm hoping that everyone that sees this and processes this will become mentally invested in these conversations as we have them. There's some very important business issues that needs to be dealt with, and I'm hoping that you guys will engage the management team and the board of directors in this process. Like I said, it's very important. So as we are approaching, well, many things, but as we're approaching 2020, we are coming into realization of where we are at financially. Many of you probably are aware of the fact that we are in the middle of a fairly large investigation into the alleged embezzlement of hundreds of thousands of dollars of association funds that was misappropriately distributed from our accounts. So real quick, I'm kind of making this on the fly. I haven't rehearsed too much, so I apologize if I take some pauses. I got to think about some of what I'm saying and make sure that everything is within bounds. But that being said, last winter, it was last December, the association's legal counsel at the time, Eric Lonzo of Golden State Law Offices, sent out a letter to every owner within the association detailing out what we knew at the time. At that point, we actually had engaged a forensic auditor, and after reviewing that report today, right now we are over $330,000 that we're realizing has been taken. That's a pretty significant chunk of money, and for that to be missing from our accounts, it definitely has an impact. Now luckily, based on what we know, we are not approaching 2020 in an operating negative number. We're doing okay, but that being said, we do not have a contingency fund that is appropriately funded, and we need to deal with that. But that being said, we have a whole nother gamut of issues surrounding our protective policies and procedures, and making sure that everyone in the governance and in the management are on the same page, and ultimately that the board of directors is doing everything possible to make sure that this never happens again. So we've experienced, since last summer when that came out, a total changeover in the board. Right now we have a totally new board than we did of January last year. For example, I only came on at the end of December last year, and I became president in April. All of our officers have changed over. Actually, no, I believe our secretary was an officer at that time too, but nonetheless, we've had a very significant change in leadership. And over the last 6 months, we've had a very heavy realization that we need to have professional management over our small city. I mean, out here, we've got some really significant stuff. For people thinking that we're just like, a little homeowners association, there are over 80 incorporated towns and cities in the state of Washington that are smaller than Clearwood is. And we're a homeowners association with a little volunteer board, and a lot of people don't see the significance in that. But at the end of the day, I mean, we have there are 1,355 residential and recreational lots in here. There's 16 miles of private road. There's a private water system that with 1,368 connections. That's a large municipal water system, and all of that's owned and operated by the association. Now you would think that a volunteer board wouldn't necessarily be running it, but for the last decade they have been. When I came on, when I was elected by the board to be the president, I by default became the operations manager. I have some management experience, but not of a city. And really, it should be kind of shocking that we've operated for that long. That being said, the entire board recognized that that probably wasn't wise. That probably wasn't doing the best we could to protect everyone's interest out here. It's a significant association. It's a significant investment that most of you all have made. Personally, my home is the largest investment I have at the moment, and I would guess that's the same story for a majority of you. we have a duty to make sure that we're protecting our funds and protecting our assets, that we're doing everything we can to make sure that we're taking care of our future, that we endure, that we have proper savings for emergencies, that we are managing and taking care of our staff well, that we're making it a stable environment for their employment. There are a lot of things that have been great about Clearwood's past, and there are plenty of things that have been really bad. And we're doing everything that we can to make sure that the stuff that's happened over the last few years, when we had a bookkeeper in here taking part of illegal activity, that hurt us quite a bit. So, that being said, this special election and this special meeting of the membership is going to be covering a few things. Let me get the note out so I am not misquoting. So, they're for a few purposes. Number one is to create a credible 2020 budget. All of what I'm about to go into, our management team, our legal counsel, our insurance agents, our reserve specialists, all of the professionals that the board and the community lean on for making informed decisions. We'll be talking about this in a video upcoming soon. We're working on getting that put together to get all of this information into your hands as soon as possible. But that being said, I'm just bringing you a general overview to get you guys prepared for the conversation and make sure that we're being as transparent and open about this process as possible. Because at the end of the day, this impacts all of the board as well, or just as much as anybody else in this association. It was brought to my attention a couple months ago. There are people that don't understand the board's forming and all that kind of stuff, and I want to let everyone know, every member of the board of directors is a homeowner in Clearwood. We all have an interest in here just as much as you do. We are very dedicated individuals. I can't speak for everyone, but based on what I'm observing of everyone on our board, we care about our community and about our investment very much. We're very dedicated to having tough conversations to make informed decisions. We all understand that there's a common ground that we have to come to. As you see on Facebook and other social medias, and sometimes even in prior meetings, not everyone always sees on the same page, but at the end of the day, we can come together and make good decisions for all of us. That's our purpose, and we have to do better at doing that. So as we engage this process, here's what we're coming up to. Creating a credible 2020 budget with actual numbers, because now that we've gone through this forensic audit, we're in the process of wrapping it up, but as we have watched all of this unfold, we have real numbers from the past several years. We can make those corrections, and our accounting manager is going to be covering a lot of those in more detail, but the point being, we have real numbers to base a 2020 budget on, so we need to have a credible 2020 budget. The second point of business is to bring the governing documents up to date. As we're going through here, there are a lot of conflictions in our governing documents right now. There are also a lot of things that should be in there that the membership has approved in the past that are not in those books. We need to correct that. The next is to change the election cycle. This one's going to catch a lot of people off guard, but these are the conversations we need to be engaging in. So, if we change our election cycle, we are going to shorten the time frame for building our budget processes. This is going to drastically increase our chances of being successful in properly budgeting and making sure that we're basing next year's budgets on real numbers, and we're better equipped to handle our financial controls that way as well. And lastly, we will need to have a special assessment. The board will be calling for that. The exact number is not yet determined, but that being said, the purpose for this is not to increase dues permanently, but a one-time special assessment for recovering the funds that were taken from us. Like I said earlier, we need to make sure that we have a contingency fund that is well funded. Without that, we're in a pretty bad spot for emergencies if they come up. And at the end of the day, while we are going to be seeking recovery in the litigation process against the person we believe to have taken this from us, we don't know how long it's going to take to fully recover that and get that back into our hands. So for the time being, we unfortunately need to make the call to get that back into our bank account. This is for all of our protection. This is for all of our sake. So if you have any questions, please feel free to email info@clearwood.org. Please also engage us at the next board meeting. The general manager is also available to answer questions, and at the same time, we're going to be preparing several town hall meetings between now and the special election and before the formal notice is actually sent out, giving you all the legally mandated notice for the meeting. We're going to have several town halls to make sure all of your questions get answered. And like I mentioned earlier, we're going to have a more detailed video from our lawyer, from our management team, including the accounting manager, who's a CPA, and our general manager, and our association's attorney. I'm probably just rambling at this point. There are 7 professionals that can better speak to exactly what we're going to be doing and why. And that video will be coming out very shortly. For the time being, please engage with us if you have any other questions. I hope you have a good evening.